Team USA have been out practicing for the first time this Ryder Cup week as they look to regain the cup at Bethpage Black this week. Our reporter Jamie Weir is there and has been getting the American perspective on things.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to beautifully sunny Bethpage. Rich Lerner from the Golf Channel alongside me, I'm delighted to say. And Rich, I think the build up to this Ryder Cup, I struggle to think of one which people have been more excited about. You know, from the moment that Rory said the hardest thing to do in golf is win an Ryder Cup, and we're going to do that at Bethpage, and started slamming that desk in Rome, it felt like this one has been one that people have been really looking forward to.
Jamie, good to be with you. They announced this back in 2013, and here in America, ever since, that's what, 12 years, we've been saying, hey, can you imagine what a Ryder Cup in New York is going to be like? And we're finally here.
Well, what do you think it will be like in terms of the crowd? Because it has the potential to spill over. We know what New Yorkers can be like with a couple of beers down them.
First thing I would say is I don't think New York has the market cornered on overzealous fans. No. Minnesota was brutal in 2016. Yeah. I thought Rome, in spots, crossed the line. But New York is New York. And I would say in American football, the New York Giants are 0-3. The New York Jets are 0-3. The fans here are not very happy right now. And I think they're frustrated, and I think they could direct some of their ire at the Europeans. But as we know, New Yorkers will boo the home team.
Right.
Aaron Judge, our great baseball slugger for the New York Yankees, was booed the last two postseasons here in New York because he didn't perform. If the United States falls behind early, they could get booed.
Yeah, and you can be sure that that is the plan for Luke Donald. Let's start by talking about the European team. Incredibly settled, 11 of the 12 victorious side from Rome. And we were just talking beforehand about their practice has been, you know, they had a 2-day trip here last week. The majority of them stayed up in the Northeast and played a bit of golf last week. They seem in a really good mental place.
Brilliant preparation. They leave no stone unturned. I mean, Paul McGinley is a chief strategist behind the scenes. I think Luke Donald has a chance, should they pull this off here in New York, to go down as maybe Europe's greatest captain. And I think this could be viewed as maybe Europe's greatest team, or one of their greatest teams. It would be right there with 04, and you can go back further. There were obviously some great European 12-man sides. They're comfortable here. And I think it speaks to their level of comfort and confidence that they're not out. Europe's not out here today.
No.
They're ready. And they understand. They've been here before. Paul and Luke have done this before. They know that you can't spend it all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And when you're out here, you're not simply playing a practice round, are you? You have cameras following you. Yeah. There's media. There are things happening that could distract you. So it does speak to a comfort level for Europe. And I think this is a formidable group. I think this is a deep team. You go, I think, 11 deep. The only weak spot, although he's long and it might fit here, is Rasmus Højgaard. And I suspect Rasmus might play one match until we get to Sunday. We'll see how it all plays out. But this is a formidable group. Everywhere I go, people are saying at a minimum it will be close. But I'm hearing a lot of American pundits say that Europe could win it.
There are certainly fewer question marks over the European team there are of the American one. And when you look at that US side, you know, the likes of Ben Griffin and JJ Spawn and Russell Henley have had fantastic seasons, but the rookies, it's sink or swim for them. We don't know how they're going to cope. Then you look at the established names, the likes of Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas, who aren't in terrific form. So there are definitely more question marks.
I would say, very simply, Scottie Scheffler needs 4 points this week. If Scheffler gets 4, the U.S. will have a great chance. And I think there's every reason to believe he's going to step up. If Bryson gets 3 and Scottie gets 4, the U.S. will win. I agree. There are some question marks where you're relying on Cantlay to be the Cantlay from Rome. You're relying on Morikawa, to be the two-time major champion. That was a long time ago. I do like Ben Griffin. I like his makeup. You worry a little bit about the short putt that he missed, at the Procore Championship in Napa. I think a lot of this is on Scheffler.
Yeah.
And I think he's ready. I think he showed tremendous leadership here. If you go all the way back, his evolution really starts with what happened at Whistling Straits in 2021 at the Ryder Cup when he beat then number 1 Jon Rahm in singles. Scottie at that point had not won a tournament.
Yeah, I know.
Fast forward, 7 months later at Augusta, he wins the Masters, he becomes number 1 in the world, and here we are. He now has 19 wins. But if you go on that Ryder Cup continuum, he's in tears in Rome. after having gotten shellacked in foursomes by Victor and Ludwig alongside Brooks Koepka 9-7 in tears. He's all business right now, and I think he's the key for the United States.
Just finally, Rich, obviously what became a big talking point in Rome was the whole pay-for-play debate raising its head again. The American players are being paid this time. I spotted that Patrick Cantlay was wearing a cap this time. Obviously, once the balls are in the air on Friday morning, we'll be focusing on the golf. But until then, and in the build-up, do you expect that to be a talking point?
What do you think?
I think it might be.
Your brothers and sisters in the British European press, they're going to dig in on that?
I think
they will.
A bit of a PR goal for the US.
I think potentially it could be an enormous albatross around the necks of the United States if they allow it to be. I'll be curious when we get in with the captain's press conferences, when Keegan is asked about that. What is the message? How and will everybody on his team be on the same page? They're going to continually be asked about it. You know how these things take on a life of their own. By Thursday, it becomes a talking point, a narrative. How the U.S. handles that, I think, will be worth watching. Will it impact play? You never know, only to the extent that if the United States gets behind early and the fans potentially, as Luke said, potentially turn on the United States, it could get a little ugly. And that's something that as a player, as an athlete, would be difficult to drag around. But you can't escape it. And I would say in fairness that everybody's Europe's not being paid, but across the board in sports, Olympians are being paid. College athletes here in the United States are being paid now. And in fairness, these guys take all the heat and get none of the money. There's that argument. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it.
The PGA of America are making a lot of money from this week.
I do think tactically it probably wasn't the smartest move. Why battle over what is it going to be? Well, it's 500,000 total. They say 300,000 to charity, 200,000 in their own pockets. When you're making 10, 15, 20 million, and you can elevate your brand by what you do here at the Ryder Cup by wearing USA on your sleeve. Why quibble over that when you know potentially it's going to be a talking point that could hurt your overall team effort? That I don't fully understand. I'm really curious to see what the response is from Keegan Bradley and his 12 players when they're asked about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be hearing from Keegan Bradley a little bit later on today, 8 p.m. your time back in the UK. I'll be joined by Luke Donald. I expect it'll be pretty cagey, pretty straight bat stuff, but it will be the first time we see the two captains together. Glorious day here at Bethpage. The US team out in the course. The Europeans, will see them for the first time tomorrow.
Yes, we have got all the build-up on Ryder Cup week here on Sky Sports News. As Jamie said tonight, you'll be able to see both captains speak for the first time this week. Hear from Keegan Bradley and Luke Donald from 8 o'clock here on Sky Sports News.